Okay, the question is this. Regarding the 10th plague. What's the 10th plague? Remember in Israel, when God was going to remove the children of Israel, He sent them how many plagues? Shalomia. How many plagues did He send to Egypt? 10 plagues. Now, and the person say in the last plague, who remembers what's the last plague? Elim. What was the last plague? Yes? Darkness? No, not darkness. Emily. Death. Death of the sun. Death of the sun. Yes, Noah, what did you want to say? Death. Okay, so more specific, not darkness, alright? The firstborn of the Egyptian will die. And Emily says son. Noah says firstborn. So now the question is this. So listen carefully, yeah? Now that's what the person say let's turn to Exodus 11:5. Exodus 11:5. The second book, Exodus 11 verse 5. Exodus 11 verse 5. Now shall we read together? And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant, and behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. Alright, so God says in the 10th plague, all the firstborn will die. Now Amberly says the sons. So now the question is this. The person asked, there are no Bible passages in the KJV, in the King James Bible, that specifically identify the firstborn to be male in gender, means son. Even though we understand it to mean firstborn son. Is it an assumption, or does that mean does the Hebrew word for firstborn specifically refers to sons only? So I'll answer the question again. Shalomia, do you understand the question? So it's if this firstborn, when we read here, how do we know they are sons? Firstborn, Anna, who's the oldest in your home? And okay, who is the oldest child that was born first to your mommy? I know you're not the oldest, your grandparents are. You're the oldest. Who was the firstborn? Firstborn. Anna is firstborn. Anna, are you male or female? Female. So now the question is, here we read the firstborn. Did God mean every boy? How do we mean firstborn is boy? Because Emily said boy. Emily, what do you think is boy? The girls want to die. Boys die. What do you say is son? So the person, how do we know is son? Because Pharaoh's firstborn was a son. Okay, hold that thought. Yes. You're going to say the same thing. Because Pharaoh's firstborn was a son. Does the Bible say the firstborn of Pharaoh is a son? Now turn to Exodus chapter 11. Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12 verse 29. Alright, just like what Amberly and Jesse said. Now let's read Exodus chapter 12 verse 29 reading. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land, Egypt from the firstborn Okay, so now here it says slay Pharaoh's firstborn. But is it a son? Turn to Exodus chapter 4. Exodus chapter 4 verse 22 to 23. Exodus 4, 22 to 23. Now, before this, God already told Moses, chapter 4, verse 22 to 23. Let's read together. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. If thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. So, Amberly, how do you know Pharaoh's firstborn is a son? Because of this verse. It says that your firstborn, Pharaoh's son. Okay? But does it mean still that every others were firstborn were sons? So let's look at. So the person's question is, does it mean every time God referred to this, the firstborn is son? Now, firstborn of people, God says firstborn of husband and wife, firstborn of animals. I don't know how, animals. Firstborn of animals, okay? Firstborn animals. All the firstborn will die. Well, we know Pharaoh. How to draw Pharaoh? What hat does Pharaoh wear? Like that, I don't know. There's a snake, right? They have a snake on their headdress, right? So Pharaoh's firstborn was a boy. Okay, was a boy. Boy wear pants. Alright? Look a bit like skirt, but it's pants. Now, so Pharaoh's firstborn boy. But the question the person asks, how does the Bible always refer to, in this case, the firstborn as a son? Cornelius, what do you think? Maybe animals, girls. Maybe some other people, girls. Like Anna, firstborn. You want to die? Firstborn, no. Don't let me be born first. Is it always firstborn means son? What do you think? Maybe adults. Ignatius. Does the firstborn always refer to son? Yeah, in Pharaoh's case it's son, but is all the cases supposed to be son? So the person now, does it mean the Hebrew word firstborn refers specifically to sons only? Ignatius, you understand the question? Yeah. Okay.
The first son of families.
First son of families. So firstborn will always be son.
I think it means like maybe the second child is son, maybe the first son of family.
Okay. So why now? How do you know that? Chloe, want to help you.
What if like the mother only gave birth to a child and it's already old? Does it count if they give birth to another baby and their pregnancy? Does it mean that the child dies?
I don't understand your question. So mother gives birth to only one child, and then?
And then it grows up, and then
she grows up, and then she have another child.
No, like
Oh, okay. So a grown-up adult, firstborn. So the question is this only babies, or is it grown-up adults? Wow, another question. What do you think, Esther? Say again? Only children. Okay. Why you think it's only children? Because in the first place it was only children. God was also judging them for what? What did Pharaoh try to do, Shalomia? He didn't like the Israelites, and what did he try to do? He made them slaves, but he did something to their children. Veronica. Okay, Chloe first, hurry up. He wanted to kill all the firstborn male, right? So this will be God's judgment on them. Faith, what did you want to say? That's what I was about to say. All right, Faith, are you cold? No? Okay. So now, God will judge them, and this will be the children. Okay, this will be the children like Pharaoh's case. Now, how do we know all? How do we know Ignatius is correct? Because you turn with me. Turn to the book of Numbers chapter 3. Numbers chapter 3. Numbers chapter 3. Numbers chapter 3. Now, shall we read from verse 13 to 15? Numbers 3, 13 to 15, reading. Because all the firstborn are mine. For on that day I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine shall they be. I am the Lord. Verse 14, and their fathers by their families. Wait. I am the Lord, and then verse 14. Number the children of the Levi after the house of their fathers by their families. Every male from a month old and upward shalt thou number them. Now, do you understand what God is saying? God is saying, now please remember that when I delivered you from Egypt, I saved all your firstborn male. After you go to the promised land, you reach the promised land. So imagine Anna marries someone. All right? Then God says, Anna, please remember when you reach the promised land, your firstborn must be set apart to remind you of what I did in those days. I saved the first male. Your firstborn must be dedicated to me, right? And did he say the firstborn what? Look at verse 15. Every what? Every male. Every male. Are you there? Every male. So, to the person who asked this question, yes, this firstborn refers to the male. Every male from a month old. Yes, it refers to the young ones, not the grown-up ones. Alright, Chloe? The grown-up ones. This is to remind them what God did in Egypt for them. Okay, so answer this question. Ken? Alright, it's always referring in this case to the male. To the male. Why, yes? Okay, what if the family have children but all female? What do you think? Then there is nothing to consecrate. Nothing to consecrate. Now, but I ask you a more difficult question. Now, what happened if all the firstborn of the animals also? Remember? All the firstborn of the animals also. Now, would God accept the donkey, the ass? Would God accept the ass? No. God says for the unclean animal, for the firstborn, you do not give them to me, but you will redeem with, you go to a temple, redeem with something else. Redeem with something else. Alright, another animal or with certain amount of money. And if they don't want to do that, they're supposed to break the neck of the donkey. Why you look at each other? It sounds so frightening. But that was how God, to make sure that they remember what the Lord did for them. Okay, the firstborn. Now later on, was it always like that? Later on the priesthood, for those adults, later on the priesthood will take over this. So by then it was just redeeming with money. That's all. This is how God worked in the Old Testament to remind them. Okay, next. By the way, why that question? No reason, just trying to wonder.
The question of whether firstborn referring to sons only, whether or not it's context or grammar.
Whether context or grammar. Okay. The context will tell you. Yeah. Okay. What do we have here? Top 5 reasons why church dropouts. What church dropouts say, why they stop attending church. Now please remember 66% of, well, I take the American view, they are the most readily available results. They stop attending church at least a year after turning 18. So from